Sup nerds, welcome to episode 19 of Powerful, the Power Metal podcast. On this occasion, we're having a nice chat with our friends John Yelland and Chad Bill Anderson from Judicator and Helion Prime fame, respectively. And the idea of this episode is to focus a bit on the North American power metal scene and how it's developing right now. And since I don't live in North America at all, I'm just skipping this one. And just a little reminder, we now have a Patreon page. So feel free to find us at patreon.com/powerfulpodcast. And if you can spare $1 or $2, that would be great for us. And it will help us continue to do this show as we've been doing for the past year and some months. If you can't contribute with money, that's perfectly fine. And it's not a problem for us. You'll still get all the content that we've been doing so far. Just share the show, share the episodes, write a review or something. Thanks a lot, and I'll leave you to the episode.
Hello, my name is Chad. Some may know me as Chad Bill Anderson. I play lead guitar in Helion Prime. Also, in the past, I've played in Dysphoria. I've done some guest stuff with Dire Peril in the past. I think that's about it for my power metal endeavors.
Nice.
How about the other guy?
The other guy.
Am I the other guy?
You are the
Yeah,
other
you
guy.
are.
Yeah.
Go.
Mr.
Right.
Sleazy
Go.
over here.
Right on. Well, yeah, I'm John Yelland. I'm the vocalist of Judicator and of Dire Peril and of Principium. And I'm not sure if Dysphoria is still a thing, but I'm the vocalist for Dysphoria. And I'm kind of like a guest vocal hoe. You know, I just get around. Anybody who needs guest vocals, I'm your man.
Awesome.
You're the vocalist for North America, basically.
Yeah, I am the North American.
You're the North American representative. Wow. That's quite a title you got
Yes.
there.
Well, welcome back to the show, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be back.
You know, it's almost been exactly a year.
We're like a month off. Yeah.
Wow. This is our John
It's
anniversary.
real close.
You shouldn't get out of touch. It should be every year.
Okay,
I'm down.
this is a yearly ritual then. A North America plus John check-in.
Yeah, just gotta check
Or
in on each
something.
other, make
A
sure
check-in.
everybody's doing all right.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
on that, in about 9-10 months, we're gonna have Tony on to shit on Sabaton if you want to be around for that.
I most certainly do. I'm sure they're really, really, really great guys. Like, I don't dislike Sabaton.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
just-
god,
yeah.
that's exactly what I
God.
say. I'm just like I'm sure they're lovely people.
But like when the new album comes out,
That's a made up date.
like we're gonna have a
That's a made-up
Sabaton
date.
shit on album.
You're completely guessing.
I
But
didn't even say the date. I just said when it comes out.
I know
When
when
it comes out.
it comes out.
I thought we were having Chris
It's-
Bose on to shit talk Ailstorm.
We're gonna have that too. I gotta coordinate that with him when
Oh
he's not
god.
drunk.
All right. This sounds like a hot mess. Did we top 4 power metal bands, John, before
Yeah,
I
we
wasn't
did.
on that cast? You did.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
Let's
We
do it
didn't-
again.
we
Let's see if it
We
changed.
didn't top 4 power metal bands, Chad. Chad, top 4 power metal bands. Go.
Well, putting me on the spot.
Yeah, that's the
I-
point. On the
tradition.
spot.
I
That's
would-
our job.
I would say that my favorites are ever changing, and it really just depends on the week or the day.
Yeah, right
No.
now,
What's it today?
today.
Lately, the last week or so, I've been jamming a lot of Camelot. If
Nice.
people consider them power metal still, I don't know.
Close enough.
We
Uh,
just
kinda-
talked about that.
So yeah, lots of Camelot, lots of Persuader, Savage Circus, and Blind Guardian.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say
okay.
that last two was like, oh, that sounds a lot like
The last
pseudo
3
Blind
are
Guardian.
like
Yeah, Blind Guardian,
Blind Guardian,
Real Blind
and
Guardian.
Blind
All right.
Blind Guardian accessories. Okay.
Yes,
Cool.
I can agree with that.
John, has yours changed? Top 4. Let's do your top 4. Hot take.
They're probably changed since last time. I mean, so I'd say Blind Guardian, Angra, Dio, and yes, I count Dio as power metal, hands down.
Yes.
And let's see, I've been listening to a lot of Crystal Eyes recently, actually.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's neat.
Is that because of the drama?
Because of the what?
Crys-
There's drama.
Crystal
There's drama.
eyes, not Chris. Oh,
No,
what
that's-
are you
Oh, my
talking
bad.
about?
No, that's
My
no,
bad.
That's
My
not
bad.
Even,
Crystal
that's not
eyes.
even the same word. Jesus.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my god.
You're right.
You're
Never mind.
fired. Go watch
Never mind.
anime.
I've got drama on the mind. I've got drama on the mind.
You are so fired. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're on friendly terms here. We're not all about the drama. So we want to know. So we usually, when we had all our other like North American friends on here, we just asked how they met. How did you guys meet, John and Chad?
That's a
Ooh.
fun story. Do you want to tell it, or should I tell it?
Yeah, I'll give my version at least.
Okay.
Well, there's
Well,
two sides.
Oh,
I mean-
there's both sides of the story.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, John and I have known each other now for over 10 years. Wow, that's a long ways back. Now I feel really old.
I love it. I love it, sweetie.
But,
Aw.
yeah, I started a band when I was 17 or so. When I was in high school, we weren't very good. The band ended up becoming Dysphoria.
Is that the demo?
But yeah, the singer was
Wait,
a
is
piece
that
of
the
shit,
demo that
dude.
you gave me?
I'm really
Um,
proud of my band.
Yeah, but no, when we started out, we were really, really bad. Like, I sent Larry our
Dysphoria EP. Oh
the
man.
EP that had John singing. There was another demo before with our old singer, and
Yeah,
it was
if you think that's
way
rough.
bad. So
John, is that the first time you were like singing in a band?
That is the first time I had ever sung in a band. No joke.
Ooh.
And in fact, an interesting tidbit, when we were recording that, like the EP that has like Modified God and
Yeah, that's the
Dysphoria. When we were
Oh my
tracking
God.
when we were tracking the vocals for that, it's the first time I was actually recording. And so I was self-conscious, and I was so distraught over what I perceived to be my like bad performance that I was like, Casey, the drummer at the time, I was like, Casey, like if you don't like this, I can stay the vocalist until you guys find a replacement. I can do keyboards, whatever you want, but I totally understand if you don't want to do this, like, because I'm so sorry. And Casey, like,
I
he was
apologize for my existence. Holy shit.
yeah, basically. But the thing is, Casey up until that point had been so hard on me, and he had like basically been like, you know nothing, I know everything, and you're lucky to be here. But in that moment, he really turned on the chocolate sauce, and he just really was supportive and kind, and he was like, no man, I believe in you and I want you to do this. And honestly, like, I'm not even joking, Casey Frederick is the person who's responsible for me continuing as a vocalist. If I had bowed out at that point, I never would have sung again, or
Oh my God,
sung in
that's
that
so
kind of
awesome.
capacity.
Well, thank you, Casey.
Shout out to Casey Frederick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout outs
seriously.
to that guy for being tough when you needed him to be tough, and for being kind and supportive when you needed him.
That means not only your success goes back to Casey Frederick, but our success as well.
Oh yeah,
Because without
Sure,
you,
yeah.
we never would have had Hansi on.
The
So
butterfly effect,
Hey,
dude.
yeah, that's true.
And not that our success is entirely dependent on Hansi being on the podcast or
it's,
anything.
it's a large.
No, it's
Uh,
dependent
but,
on
you
me.
Just
know,
like doubled our
it's a-
numbers. It's fine.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
no big deal.
We just we just proved ourselves as a legitimate podcast source. Okay.
Legitimate journalists.
So we got derailed with the touching story of the Dysphoria
sorry about
EP.
that.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
Did John and Chad meet at that point yet, or did we just get completely derailed?
well, no,
Derailed.
yeah, it was completely a little bit off the rail a little bit there. But I'll
But
go
that
back
was
just
really-
to.
That was a wholesome story. It's worth it.
It was.
It's worth the detour.
But yeah, no, going back a little bit, me and a couple other friends had started Dysphoria. This would have been in 2007-ish. Like I said, I was like back in high school, and I was just starting out as a guitar player. So yeah, we were really, really bad. Casey, actually, our drummer that John was mentioning, he was an original member of that band. Now he plays drums for Principium. So if people don't know Principium, definitely check them out. That's John's other band there. But yeah, we needed a new singer because our old singer was really bad. And so I went, back then you met people on MySpace.
Oh, throwback.
I remember that.
So I believe I was just trolling around on the horrible classifieds interface that MySpace had at the time, and I found an ad that someone had put up looking for a band, and it turned out to be John. So I messaged him, and we started talking. He came over, and we went from there. And then we wrote all the songs that ended up on that EP, and it was okay. We obviously got way better. For anybody who knows any of our stuff that we still have out, like on Spotify, that's the stuff we're proud enough to keep out and not hide from the world.
Are you planning on releasing the Dysphoria EP to the world?
Probably not. I'm okay with showing it to people who I trust, and that but in general, I wouldn't show it to the general public.
That's fair.
You got to start
That's
somewhere.
completely fair.
Right?
It's really bad. It's not really, really bad, but like, it's got its moments, but yeah.
Hey, you
Yeah.
gotta be really bad at something before you get good at it.
Exactly.
So
Entirely
that's
true.
all good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to keep in mind we were like 17, 18, and 19 years old at that point, and we were just starting out. So
Yeah, right.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, if somebody showed you Blind Guardian's very first recorded material, you'd probably be
that.
like, it's okay.
But they
It's
were
okay.
like, they were like that age too. They were like little teen.
But, now you guys are two individually successful guys with multiple projects.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
And
success
Dysphoria
is
is dead.
however you measure it, but and Dysphoria is not completely dead. It's on live
It
support.
isn't? Okay.
What I want to do with Dysphoria is I want to record one or two final goodbye songs and then do a final goodbye show. And that could be a fun and interesting opportunity to release all of our back catalog, all the embarrassing, juicy stuff like the EP. And we could even release the Josh Swenson stuff, like the very first vocalist who was before me. Because, I don't know who would even care. But for people who would care, it's like, that would be a neat little treat,
It
That's
would.
That would be
a
fun.
cool tidbit of North American power metal history.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
this sounds like you guys are like ready to close this chapter on Dysphoria, because this is one of the things that we wanted to ask you. Does Dysphoria have a chance of getting back together, and what would you do differently? But it sounds like you guys are about to close shop.
Well, I
I'm-
think the biggest thing is that everybody that was a part of that band has kind of moved on to bigger and better things. Like John's got
Yeah.
Judicator and Dire Peril.
Mhm.
I've got Helion Prime. Casey, he's in Principium with John.
Yeah.
And he does his own kind of like video production stuff these days. So yeah, I mean, Austin, he's a very good singer, and he sings in a like kind of genty proggy band called Machines of Man. So yeah, everybody just has all their other projects that are really do really well on their own, and Dysphoria was such a collaborative thing that it kind of takes everybody or nobody for it to
Mhm.
work.
That's
Unfortunately.
why I'm really trying to be realistic, because if I could wave a magic wand, I would love to get Dysphoria back together. But being realistic, I think it would be better for everybody and actually make sense to do. I think it's plausible to do a goodbye song, maybe two, but not an EP, not a tour, not multiple shows. I think we
Yeah,
could do
you
a goodbye
guys-
show.
You guys all have are gonna have 8 projects, and come on, we're all like human. You only have a certain number of hours in a day.
You can just do cameos
come
on the other bands that everyone has.
yeah.
Can I make one request of Dysphoria before you die, for reals?
Before
Yeah.
you plan your death.
You need to re-record the Dysphoria song.
That would be interesting.
That's
Because that's
probably
the
doable.
Dysphoria song.
I would
That's-
be comfortable re-recording that one on our own means, but I've to do 3 songs professionally mixed and engineered. I would do 2 songs or one really well done, and then we could do one on our own, for Dysphoria.
That's probably doable.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a great tribute to Dysphoria, which sounds like where a lot of you guys got your first start into the music business.
Yeah.
I guess.
And both
Yeah.
of your like more recent projects, Helion Prime and Dire Peril, involve our friend Jason Ashcraft. And now that he's not here to defend himself, how did he get
Let's talk about
roped
it.
into the mix here?
Well, I met Jason through Facebook. So another another social media mishap.
Mishap.
A mishap, yeah.
No,
Wow.
no. So yeah, I think I first encountered Jason in the US Power Metal Connection Facebook group, which was started by a buddy, Josh Mortensen. Yes, Josh Mortensen started this Facebook group. He lives in Denver. He used to play guitar in a band called Vacant Throne. I don't think that band's around anymore. But yeah, Facebook group.
Now he's in Craftion.
Now he plays black metal in Craftion.
It's a big jump.
Yeah. But yeah, no, anyway, US Power Metal Connection. I always saw Jason commenting on stuff in there. He had a really awesome looking white Les Paul in all of his profile pictures, and I thought I thought he was cool. So I think I added him or he added me, one of the two. I can't remember.
This shows the importance of a cool profile picture.
Yeah.
I was just thinking. He had a cool guitar, so I thought he was cool.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have me added on Facebook, but I'm like a pink seal. That's me. Feel free to add me. Anyway, go on.
Chad's new profile picture is really cool.
Oh, really?
Just so everyone's aware. He's
Okay,
like
I'm gonna go look
shredding
at
it
it
up
right
on
now
stage.
as you tell your story.
But yeah, anyway, I met him, and then I don't remember if it was him or someone else posted a link to a Dire Peril video on YouTube. It was an older Dire Peril song with their old singer Norman, and it was a cover of Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult, and I thought it was the coolest cover of that song I've ever heard. So I don't remember if I added Jason first or after I heard that song, but in any case, fast forward a couple years, Dysphoria was doing our first tour to the West Coast, and Jason helped us set up a couple of dates in Sacramento and the Bay Area. We played Bay Area with Dire Peril, actually, and the funny thing is Sacramento, we played the first ever show that Helion Prime would play, and this was the first time I met Heather and Jason in person, actually.
Wait, Sacramento. Was this in what year was this?
This was 2014.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay.
If memory serves me right, they weren't even called Helion Prime. I think they were called Furia or Furion.
Yes, Furion was the original name of the
Furion.
Like of the heart of the variety?
Right.
Exactly.
It all ties together, man. It all ties together.
Yeah, and Jason actually invited John and I both to play some cover songs with them at that show. So John played not Dire Peril. John sang an Iced Earth song with them.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Phantom of the Opera song.
Goes.
And I did it with Heather.
And I got up there and played Book of Heavy Metal by Dream Evil with them at that show.
Ooh,
Nice.
that's cool.
And that was kind of cool. That was my first time sharing the stage with Helion Prime, and I had no idea what was to come a couple years later. But yeah, so that's how I met Jason, and I've been stuck with him ever since.
Stuck with him. I like it.
Stuck with him.
I like it.
Nice. All right, so you guys have obviously played in many North American, I guess, metal acts. Over the past few years, what have you noticed about the North American metal scene in terms of musical style? Like, are people trending towards traditional heavy metal, or is like something completely new and crazy evolving out of North American metal people?
And then off of that, as people playing in the scene, do you think it heavily differs from stuff that comes out of Europe? Or do you think you guys are like doing Europe with a twist, something like that?
I don't really have my finger on the pulse of European metal so much, but with like the underground and the, sort of medium tier bands, I guess. But with America, it definitely seems like there's more of a traditional heavy metal emphasis coming out these days. I know that there was sludge metal for a while. It was kind of big, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I guess I never really realized how like big sludge and doom are in North America. Like, I don't know, like power metal in North America, I think what I've perceived is that it's not as popular as like Yob is super popular here. Everybody knows Chemist. And yeah, I feel like the sludge doom style is more well known than power metal. It's weird.
yeah, that's my perception as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know. There's just way more of a audience for the traditional metal stuff around, and it's kind of crazy. I feel like it's growing a lot recently, especially with stuff like Frost and Fire coming up the last few years.
Yeah, the festival, right?
Like,
where is
yeah,
that at?
California.
That's in Ventura, California.
Okay.
Is where that one's at. Helion Prime actually played the very first one. We opened the first Frost and Fire Fest, which is funny because we're not traditional metal at all.
No.
But yeah, no, like with bands like Visigoth and Night Demon and all these bands
and like,
coming out.
Was it called Eternal Champion? And...
Yeah.
Eternal Champion, Ice Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Ice Sword's really good.
Yeah, actually, I met Ice Sword in Chicago last year. They were cool.
You know, I used to live in Flagstaff, and they didn't put out anything until like the year after I had left Flagstaff, so I didn't know they existed until it was inconvenient for me to go to their shows.
Oh, let's just wait till Biscuit moves, then we're gonna play. Screw that guy.
Yeah, they set their merch up right next to us when we played Legions of Metal in Chicago. So that was cool. See, that's another one is Legions of Metal, another festival that seems to cater a lot to the traditional metal. So and traditional metal has a lot of overlap, I think, with the power metal crowd. But it only goes one way, kind of like the traditional metal people don't really care for the power metal so much. There's a lot of
overlap with like the US style.
Yeah.
We've
yeah, for sure. And so like there's the US power metal bands like like Jag Panzer and like
Manila Road and Crimson Glory.
Yeah, so and obviously way different than the Euro style stuff, which is kind of that's kind of, I guess my bands have always leaned more towards Euro style. So it's hard to really say much about that side of it because I'm not super involved, but just from my own observations, it's the traditional metal crowd seems to not care too much for the pure power metal.
Yeah, do you find that challenging to like, I guess, become an established Euro power style band in North America where bands inspired by like US power metal is so prominent?
I would say it's definitely a challenge. This last tour we just did with Unleash the Archers was different, to say the least, because when they have power metal stuff and when their songs go in the power metal direction, it's very Euro style, but they also have way more to their music than just power metal. Like they've got a lot of death metal references or influences and stuff like that. So I don't think the people going out to Unleash the Archers shows
I think they're like non-overlapping with the guys who would go to like the Broca's Helm show that was like not too far away from that show.
Right.
And like Hellstar also toured.
That's part of what makes Unleash the Archers something a little more palatable, I think, to an American audience, is that they kind of spoon feed you power metal in a way that you're not totally aware because they have so many other elements working in tandem.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Like people come for the other element, the more death metal or metalcore type,
like more aggressive whatever style.
Right.
I don't know.
And then all of a sudden now these people are realizing,
and they're like, surprise, power metal.
Yeah. So now these fans of them are kind of realizing or starting to realize that they like the melodic power metal aspects.
Yeah.
So what you could say is that Unleash the Archers is a gateway drug to power metal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you saying we have to like trick
That seems to be
American
the case,
audiences?
That is totally true. Okay, so we discussed American power metal. So I want to know how you guys feel about some of the more recent happenings in the European power metal world, like for example, Beast in Black. Do you guys know Beast in Black and Battle
I've
Beast?
seen a few of their YouTube
Bands
videos
with the name Beast in it. Yeah, and yeah, are you
I
guys
can never
familiar with
remember
them?
which one is which.
I don't know,
Beast in Black
they're
has
kind of
Yanis.
similar style, but you guys know what I'm talking about in general, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Heavy
So they play-
Sands, doo
Yeah, they play a lot of like mid-tempo stuff that you can kind of like fist pump to the chorus, like yeah, and there's a lot of like synths, and I don't know, it doesn't go above 90 BPM, and it works really well like for sing-along crowd stuff. But yeah, how do you guys feel about that style, and do you think that's like power metal?
I guess you could call it power metal. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's considered power metal. Very anthemic, sing along, melodic. To me, it strikes me sort of more like stadium rock crowd.
Yes,
Oh my God.
There we
yes,
go.
it's
Kinda
arena
stuff.
metal, John. It's
I
arena
love
metal.
that you guys are validating our thoughts. Like, this
We've been
And
so
this is where,
validated in
like,
the
I
last
don't want
year.
to be. I don't want to be a douchebag. I don't want to come on here and like hate on people in bands and stuff. But
no, not
just
at all.
that
I
kind of
love
music
them.
just doesn't excite me at all. It just seems like if you've heard 2 of their songs, you've heard just about all of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're talking
No,
about
don't-
musical
don't be
distinctions.
sorry.
This is
It's okay.
important stuff for the genre warriors among us.
We
Well, I feel bad because, like I mentioned with Sabaton, it's like I'm sure they're awesome people. I'm sure they're so cool, and I would love to hang out with them. But just like if I have to choose between that and listening to Yes or like Boston or something, I'm
Bon
gonna
Jovi.
choose that. Yeah, or yeah.
Yeah.
John Bovey.
John Bowie.
John Bovey.
John Bovey.
Yeah, we've been saying Beast and Bon Jovi to refer to those bands.
yeah, they're
Beast and Battle
the
Beast
first
in
single
Black.
they put out. Beast in Black's first single they put out was like legit a Bon Jovi song. It was amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was amazing. We enjoyed it a lot. But it's just really difficult for us to like put that in the same category as like, I don't know,
Judicator or Helion Prime.
Judicator and like Jag Panzer and I don't know, Manila Road. Yeah, no, that's weird.
I will say this. I've had like one of those daily mix things on Spotify recently that's like all power metal bands. And every time King for a Day by Battle Beast comes on, I always
Oh my
skip it
God.
because that song pisses me. Like, I do
Yo,
not like
just
that
love
song.
makes
that
me
song,
mad.
dude. That song is amazing. It's like my
I don't like half of
Friday
their
night
fucking
basic
set.
anthem.
Yeah, well, and it's not that I don't like Battle Beast because I actually kind of like them depending on the day, but
Yeah.
that song gets skipped every time.
That's how I feel about Black Ninja.
How about Bastard Son of Odin? I
Ugh.
love that song.
Honestly,
I'm
the rest of their
actually-
songs like all sound the same to me. So
Okay. Fair.
Good.
Fair
At least
It-
I'm
it's
not
like
the
you
only
said,
one
you've-
being harsh here.
No,
you've
no
heard
worries.
one.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Did you guys check out Brothers in Metal like last year or the year before?
Oh my god, I don't
Yo,
understand the love
hey,
for that
I like Brothers in
band.
Metal.
Okay, I'll stop talking.
I love Brothers in Metal as like my basic bitch power metal that I put on.
My basic
basic
bitch power
bitch.
metal.
That's what I call it.
Wow.
Can we call them bros of metal?
They have like
Because-
harsher vocals in there. They're not that basic. Harsher.
But I don't know. I don't think harsh vocals means not basic.
It's less
Are they
heard
turning into like
something.
the new modern Manowar?
I
Kind
hope
of seems
so.
like that.
Possibly.
That's
That's
what
a strange
we
comparison.
need.
But
Brothers in Metal.
Well, to be honest, I only heard about Brothers of Metal because they signed to AFM, which is the label that I'm on.
What's this your record?
Label mates.
Yeah.
So
We had to get new art because of it
Label
too.
mates.
yeah, I haven't really listened to them at all. I thought they looked ridiculous, but I
They're
haven't
pretty
looked at
alright.
them since that.
You know, I think people really like Ridiculous.
Yeah,
They do.
definitely.
They really
And
do.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm all
yeah.
for that.
They kind of remind me of Frozen Crown a little bit, but Frozen Crown's better. But they're also different.
have you guys considered becoming ridiculous to sell out?
Oh my
Ooh.
god, that's a good question.
I have a huge penchant for ridiculousness, and if it were not for Tony, Judicator would on
be
occasion dabble
ridiculous?
in the ridiculousness.
Well,
yeah, because
I've-
like for the shows that we're doing this year, I wanted the whole band to get up in like Crusader
oh
outfits.
my god, that
Was that not
so
happening anymore?
Wouldn't that be
Amazing.
awesome?
Is that
No,
not
no,
happening
love
anymore?
that. I'd be
We're not
so
doing it.
happy.
The band doesn't feel comfortable doing it anymore.
I was talking to
so
Tony
Well,
about that, and he said
okay.
it was totally a thing.
I know,
Can
it's
you,
not a
can
thing
you
anymore.
just do it?
Ugh.
Like you're
I would
singing,
love it.
so
I would shit
everyone
bricks.
else can. Yeah. If they let you do it, that'd be pretty cool.
I was really excited for that.
At least lead the crowd in a Deus Vult chant.
Oh,
Like,
dude,
that's what you gotta
that,
go
I think
that
that's a
would be
given.
so cool.
Okay.
And like with Dysphoria, for example, like we used to have much more of a stage show. Like I rigged up this like homemade squib, so we would play the song "Creator's Creator," and it would come to this really creepy part, and then this big dissonant chord would hit, and I would hit the trigger, and my chest would explode. My chest would explode in blood and stuff. And oh man, you go back and look at like the crowd during like videos of that moment, and people are like, "What the heck?" Oh, I love it. I love it.
Dude, I
love
I
crazy
bet power
stuff.
metal bands could use more theatrics. I mean, black metal folks do it. Like the extreme subgenres use fake blood and whatever. Power metal folks can do it too.
My perfect band would be like a mix between Blind Guardian and Alice Cooper. Like if I could make my band, it
Ooh.
would be like that.
Like the aesthetics of Alice Cooper with like
Yeah.
the musical tendencies of Blind Guardian.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Big,
pretty dope.
Epic and just always something going on.
You come on stage and you like kill a goat straight off the bat.
Yeah. Anything's on the table.
Wow. R.I.P. the goat.
That's a hell of a show.
Yeah. Well, this seemed. I guess to sum this section up of our little conversation, yeah, North American power metal completely distinct from European style, but you know we've got overlapping fans that like these.
I feel like it's
Maybe.
like the more recent
Some.
American stuff is kind of like a mix between older USPM and traditional metal, and then also like dabbling in the European stuff.
Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
little
definitely.
bit of both. It's like melodic, like Euro power, but like unlike Euro power, you guys still have guitar riffs, which is pretty sweet. You can still hear the bass.
And
which is
then it'll
nice.
pull in some more of that like death metal-y type stuff, and maybe even like thrash metal. Like Seven Kingdoms, didn't they start more in like a thrash style?
They were
Yeah.
they had a lot more, they were kind of like metalcore in a way. Like if you listen to their album that had Brian Edwards singing, Brothers of the Night, that was like straight up melodic death metal in a lot of spots. Which is actually very good if you don't mind the kind of home recording production. But the songs on it are amazing, for the record.
Chad, I like King of Rome, so I don't think I mind that aesthetic.
Well, King of Rome.
Yeah, that's a terrific.
King of Rome was a very well written album too, if you don't mind me saying, John.
Yeah, it's well written, but if I could wave a magic wand, the production would be a lot better.
Oh, sure.
I still
One
would
day.
love to re-record like Elan and Into the Sea of Bayonets, and I don't know, someday.
One day.
perhaps.
Someday.
So you just
someday
you just got to
perhaps.
trick Americans into listening to power metal. Is the
You listen here,
moral of the
Americans.
story.
Listen to more power metal.
It's
Do it.
happening slowly. I think it's slowly
Do it.
happening. I think power metal is slowly starting
Yeah,
to get
I
bigger.
think so. I was really impressed at the turnout in the Unleash the Archers tour, because usually in that venue there's like 30 people, but there's definitely more than 30 people there.
Yeah, like
They just need some of those gateway bands.
Yeah, I think really it's just a matter of a lot of people don't know that it exists. Because like
Mhm.
I've shown Helion Prime to people that I've like met in passing at friends' houses or whatever, and like I'll
Yeah.
turn on a music video and they'll be like, "Wow, I didn't know that music like this could have clean singing." Like they just
Yeah,
think
right.
they think
No.
metal is
That
death
is
metal
so
and that's
true.
So when you guys played in Phoenix, you were like hanging out at my house or whatever. And then I guess my roommate had like a party that night.
it. Oh yeah.
Like right after you guys left, a party happened and he was playing your guys' debut for everyone there, and they all liked it apparently, and they're all like 20 something, basic people. listen
Basic
to
people.
listen to like
Nor-
hip hop
nor-
and whatever.
Normies, totes
People just
norms.
don't know power metal exists. But in my opinion, I don't think anyone would dislike power metal.
Well, plenty of people.
Yeah.
Can.
Like it hits all the
I
buttons.
want to hang out at your house.
It hits
Oh,
all
we
the
wanna hang
buttons
out
that
with
people
you
like.
too. Let's hang out. That was so much fun.
Feel left
It's
out
okay.
now.
Let's all hang out and sing "I Want Out" together. It'll be a great time.
No, but John, don't feel left out. I had to work while he was hanging out at my house,
Oh yeah,
Oh
no,
no!
so he was just there, and
Basically-
I was like working.
yeah. Biscuit just let them into their house, and he's like, "I got to go back to work. I don't have the day off." And he just
Yeah.
left them.
Shucks.
Like, "Oh, here's the Wi-Fi password.
Yeah.
Don't break anything."
And then we watched Armageddon.
Ew, gross. Why would you do that? I always think Ben Affleck playing with the animal crackers on that lady's belly button. And I'm like,
Oh my
gross.
God.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You gonna eat that? Yucky.
Yeah, that movie's not that good.
I don't
It
remember
didn't
that
age
part.
well.
That's an understatement. That movie's terrible. Sorry for all the fans of Armageddon out there.
No, this is a candid podcast.
But it is a terrible movie.
Yeah, well,
We stay
I
real
used
on
to
this
watch
podcast.
I used to watch Armageddon and Deep Impact on Christmas with my family.
what?
It was like our Christmas thing. Yeah, I don't know. Instead of talking about weird movie tendencies, let's talk about
Let's talk about metal.
let's talk about metal. Yeah, so
Powerful metal.
because there's so much overlap in the North American metal community. Like, how do you guys decide who plays in what band? You know how like John's the vocalist of literally every band. We were wondering if there's a shadow government, or do you operate like the idol industry, where you just like
Do you draw
draw
straws?
names?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are there
do
like
you-
death pit fights out in Salt Lake?
Yeah, do you just have like do you have a fight to the death in the midst of Salt Lake City, and the winner is the vocalist?
Is it gonna be dysphoria of fire?
Yeah.
All these decisions are generally made by competitive monkey fighting, monkey knife fighting bets.
Oh, so it's like
What's-
Pokemon. In
What's
real
the best
life.
kind of monkey in
essentially.
your
Oh, it's
experience?
perfect.
Oh,
Only
okay.
incredibly violent, and there's no Poke Center. You know, what's
Oh,
dead stays
wow.
dead.
What's your preferred monkey, John?
Boy howdy, I could go with Rusty or Blackie or Scarface, but so many vicious monkeys to choose from.
There's like a whole metagame to the monkey.
battles. Okay.
fighting.
All right. So now that we learned that people play IRL Pokemon to decide who plays in what band,
Monkey knife fighting.
monkey knife fighting / IRL Pokemon. How is it different playing with different people? Like, I don't know.
Well, so
Does it depend on like their musical style, or I don't know, like who takes the lead?
in my experience, like, so with Dysphoria, it was an incredibly, like, very collaborative band. Like, we would write, like, pretty much all the songs were written together, with a few exceptions. Or, like, you know, everybody would be in the room while it was being written, and we'd all be putting ideas into the hat. Whereas, like, with playing with Helion Prime, that band is, like, that's Jason's band. So, you know, he writes like 99% of the stuff. I throw some crappy guitar solos on it at the end and then call it good. So
right.
it's very much less involved for me as far as the songwriting goes for Helion Prime versus what I was doing in Dysphoria, where I would actually contribute ideas that could be fleshed out to be full songs in the end. And yeah, it's definitely very, very different. And every other band that I've been in has been kind of the same as what Dysphoria was. So yeah, these days I don't get to do a lot of writing, which I would like to do some more of in the future with a different project maybe, but
Are you teasing a new project right now?
no, definitely
Uh-oh.
not. I wish I was.
Any sketchy sweet leaks to give us?
I really, really wish I had something on the horizon, but I've been so
Oh, hi,
busy,
doggy.
unfortunately.
Chad, I do have a question for you about the Helion Prime songwriting. I know you're not
Sure.
involved, as you just said. But this is something we forgot to ask Sozos and Jason back in August.
Sure.
How much of the album was written before you guys knew that Sozos was your new singer?
I think there was like maybe 3 or 4 songs that were the music for them where it was already pretty much good to go. And everything else was like all the rest of the songs were partially written. So it was a pretty good chunk of the music was ready to go before Sozos. But Sozos wrote all the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Sozos wrote all the lyrics aside from Spectrum, which was co-written
That's Jason's,
between Jason and Sozos.
Yeah, that's Jason's thing.
So, but yeah, Sozos wrote all that stuff very quickly, and I was very impressed.
Oh yeah. I guess like Jason wanted to not say, "Hey, can you write all this? Thanks, bye." But Sozos did it anyway.
Yeah, he just started doing it, and Jason was like, "Okay, go nuts," and he did.
We recorded another episode yesterday, and I was like kicking myself because I just thought of that question, and we should have asked it like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Questions are hard. Let's talk about touring. Do we want to talk about touring?
Let's talk about touring.
Touring is
Because you
good.
guys were both recently touring with Helion Prime doing the thing with Unleash the Archers, and then Dire Peril was doing a little bit of a
Dire
tour.
Peril was touring
with Seven
on the
Kingdoms.
other side of the country that we didn't get to see.
And
Ooh.
Sirenia.
Yeah, I didn't get to
Ooh,
catch the Seven
fancy.
Kingdoms, Dire Peril, Serenity and stuff because you guys didn't come out far enough west.
I know.
John felt really bad about it.
I know.
I wanna-
I want to hang out with you guys.
I want a
I'm
personal
sorry.
apology.
It's okay. We'll hang out next time. It's gonna be fun.
2020 tire peril is going
Tire
to
Tire Peril.
Are we gonna get that
Wheels
Dire
of
Peril
Glory.
Tire
Judicator dual headline tour?
Tire
man,
Daryl.
that would be impossible. I would die. 2020
You're-
Dire Peril is going to be hoping to turn our sights more west. We may do some touring, some light touring this year in the west, so we'll see.
So is there a reason you guys went to the eastern US? Is it because you were just following Seven Kingdoms?
Yeah,
And
it was
Sirenia
just
there?
because Sirenia had an opening for the northern and eastern US and Canada, and so we just took that opportunity. And then same thing with Seven Kingdoms, they had an opening for eastern US, so we just took what was open.
Okay. So is that generally how you decide on when and where to tour nowadays? You're just like, hey, looking for open slot wherever in this large continent.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes when you're in a band that's at the level where our bands are at. Like, we're not necessarily a household name to the point where our
You
own...
are in this household.
Oh, my heart.
My entire household knows.
But yeah, no, that's kind of like with Helion Prime, we are lucky enough to, Jason's lucky enough to be good enough friends with Brittany Slays from Archers that she just like hit him up one day and was like, "Hey, so you're coming on tour with us, right?" And Jason's like, "Yes." So
yes, of
we
course.
just-
When, where?
yeah, we got lucky. We got incredibly lucky with that one. And then obviously Stryker was with us as well, and they're awesome. Another awesome bunch of Canadians.
Canadians.
Honestly, that tour though was it's hands down the best touring experience of my life.
Dude, that was awesome. Stryker was so good. I love that tour.
I think Stryker surprised a lot of people because not many people expected to like them as much as they ended up liking them.
Like, I didn't know anything about Stryker and then was blown away.
I didn't know anything about Stryker, and then they did all that like glam metal shit, and I was like, "Oh my god,
that was glorious."
Yeah, so I was a big fan of Stryker. I was actually probably more stoked about touring with Stryker than I was about Archers. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, both amazing bands to tour with, and yeah, it was just lucky. They needed an opening band, and we happened to make ourselves available for it. So, yeah, when we're at this level, it's just kind of like take what we can get, and eventually the goal is to actually book our own and have an agent that books it for us. But that'll come with time, I'm sure.
you're getting there."
Yeah.
You guys are all gonna do. You guys are all gonna play Powerful Fest.
Powerful
That's the
Fest
thing.
2030.
In like
That's
5
what's
years.
happening.
Yeah,
2030. Oh,
If we
God,
keep
I
pushing
hope
it back,
yeah,
it's gonna be a thing
we're-
one of these
we're-
days.
We're being realistic. Now our main goal is to keep producing episodes on schedule and to break even on our expenses. we're taking it one step at a time. Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like
on the subject of festivals, I think it's awesome to see more stuff in North America that's power metal based. Like you have Hyperspace, which is over in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Which
why don't you guys tell us about like any upcoming tours that your bands are playing? Just briefly sum it up for the podcast.
as of right now, Helion Prime only has one thing on the horizon, and that is Mad with Power, which is in Madison, Wisconsin in August. I forget the
Yeah.
exact date, but we're actually playing that with Judicator.
I think it's
So
early
that'll be-
August because Ty pushed it back.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
It's way too close
Yeah.
to Prog Power to.
I know we were.
He needs to
like,
push that
we
back a
wanted
couple
to go
months.
to that, but we already bought stuff for Prague Power.
I'm gonna try to find a way to go to that or Hyperspace. I gotta see Judicator. I gotta see Helion Prime with an actual singer that's on an album.
Next year, I'm going to try 2 festivals, but I can't do that this year.
Yeah, Judicator's got Hyperspace coming up in April, and then Mad with Power. And we're going to be doing 1 or 2 Arizona shows as well before the Hyperspace.
What?
We're going to be doing at least 1 show before Hyperspace.
In Phoenix or
So
in Tucson?
probably Tucson, but it could be Phoenix. So come on down. Come on down.
Yeah. It's only a 6-hour drive for me. I'll be there.
4-wheel drive.
Where do you live?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Okay.
I
And
know.
and then Dire Peril, we're planning on doing definitely maybe like a Weekend Warrior tour or something this year, but we're going to kind of keep our heads down while Helion Prime works on their new album, and we'll be doing a tour April 2020.
Nice.
All right, something to look forward to next year.
Yeah, mark your schedule.
Mark my schedule.
I feel like the American bands are in kind of a unique spot when it comes to touring because America is so goddamn big and not very dense when it comes to like metal bands and metal fans as opposed to Europeans.
Yeah, it's like I gotta drive 6 hours.
And shows are so important for like bands to get that grassroots support. So it's just that extra bit of challenge that you guys have to overcome that hurdle.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate side of it. And especially because all of the fans are kind of spread out on the coasts. So that's why you see so many West Coast tours and then so many East Coast tours that don't end up meeting up in the middle. It's just because it's so hard to cover that extra distance. Unless you're like a bigger band that has,
Yeah.
The ability or the funds or whatever to get you over there. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Like I feel very fortunate to be in Arizona because usually bands will just be like, Arizona's close enough to California that they tack a date on.
I feel like you've gotten a lot of shows last year. I think Arizona is a real place with humans.
People just tack us on with California because it's so close relatively.
Yeah.
But if there's something
Yeah.
really big that I want to go to and they're not coming here, Anaheim or LA is only 6 or 7 hours away.
Ugh, that's like
Only.
such a commitment, though.
Quote unquote
Yeah,
only.
only.
Yeah, as
That's
opposed to if
pretty
you
far.
live in the Midwest and you're like, shit, I gotta drive like 2 days to go to New York or something.
2 days.
That's one thing. I love hearing bands on the East Coast complain about the drive times for touring.
Oh my
It's like,
gosh.
oh, poor you. You have a 3, 4, 5 hour drive. Come back out to the West where it's like 8, 9, 13 hour drives. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, when we were, I think, planning this episode, we looked at the distance between Salt Lake and Sacramento, and it is a good stretch of nothing.
And we're like, this looks like such a boring drive.
Yeah, you know how many times I made that drive?
Too many.
We're like, yeah.
One of these days you'll get paid to
that's,
fly.
That's prime. That's prime like podcast and music listening time right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually listened to like 3 episodes of Powerful on my way.
Oh my
Wow.
god. Well,
last time.
we're glad to have accompanied you in your drive then.
Good thing we
yeah,
have really long episodes.
I think that's actually shortly after the Hansi episode dropped. So that was the first one I listened to on my way out, right before tour.
And it was
Oh,
all downhill
good.
from there.
Yeah, I was like, we probably peaked there.
Yeah, I think that
and,
was our best episode last year. It was really good. No offense to any of us.
No offense to ourselves
Yeah.
and our other guests.
Well, that episode was like
Sitting
really
here
good.
shedding a silent tear.
Judicator
like,
was
right
a close
there.
second, I'm sure.
John was like, but me.
And this is the
Yeah.
best episode of 2019.
Yeah, we've peaked right here. It's all downhill from here.
Yep.
We haven't even released any episodes this year, although I think Album of the Year comes out first.
Album of the Year comes out before us.
Yeah. So, yeah, North America is really big and it's hard to tour. Do you have any pro tips for touring efficiently and peacefully and financially
And hygienically?
I guess smart?
A really good thing that I'm pretty sure Helion Prime does too is most bands. Well, I'm not sure how most bands do it. I'm a dummy, but we load in and we play our set, and then we drive through the night that night after we've played, and so that we arrive at the next destination early in the morning, which makes
But what about sleeping?
It
Do you
makes for
sleep?
some hellish drives, and we have to take shifts, but it feels nice to get to the venue at like
There's no
10
stress.
in the morning.
And no
Oh my
stress of, oh
God.
my God, are we going to make it kind of thing?
That's
Oh my
true.
goodness, the Dire Peril tour that we just took, it's like one night we hit a blizzard and we had to pull off to the side of the road and wait for that to die down. I hit some kind of an animal driving, the first time I've ever hit an animal while driving. Man, and deer, like driving through Texas, like there were a couple times deer ran out in the road, and it's like, okay, we might die here. So it's like, man,
Oh dear.
Yeah,
driving late at night.
Would you
Oh,
say
dear.
Would you say there was blood on the ice, John?
Oh.
I think my biggest thing is that drinking is not a viable thing for most people. Like I should no.
I totally
Binge
understand
drinking.
that. Yeah.
Binge drinking is not a good idea when you're on tour.
Yeah.
I don't drink myself, but I was able to see how haggard it made people on tour. Like people were, I don't know why they do it to themselves. And I say that from I used to be one of those guys, but just stay dry and things, they go a lot smoother.
That's the thing, is like touring really is a physical thing. Like even if you're just sitting driving for like 8 hours in a stretch, like your body is
Driving for 8 hours was rough.
so important to what you're doing. And if you're filling it full of trash, then you're gonna perform like trash, not only on like the non-musical, like not stage stuff, but on stage too. And like Chad said, there are times when you see musicians who treat their bodies like trash and they get up and they perform like trash, and it doesn't surprise you, and it's sad. So
Oh, that is so true. Yeah, I feel like this is really good advice for anyone who is a human.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
general life advice.
Please
Yeah.
take care of yourselves. If you do decide to drink, be picky and appreciate your drinks. Be
Be a
a
beer snob.
douchebag. Be a beer snob like me. I'm extremely picky with beer.
Don't
Yeah,
be me
being-
and drink like 6 PBRs.
I'll pour it down the drain if I don't like it.
It's hardcore.
I'm that asshole.
It's a marathon, not
Yeah.
a sprint. Is the main point.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
Yeah. Be wise with your like drink choices. Don't
Mhm.
I drink because you like the taste, not
And you'll
because
cherish
you
it
wanna
even
get
more too. I
best.
mean, if you're
Yeah.
drinking every night, for me it was all right. At the end of the tour, like after we've played our set, I'm gonna get a nice tall Guinness, and I'm gonna just enjoy Seven
And
Kingdoms
you're
set.
just gonna cherish it. And
and-
you're like, this is
Oh,
the
yeah.
best fucking Guinness I've ever had. And then
It was magical.
you're gonna drink some water because it's good to stay hydrated.
And it was funny too because we were on tour with Stryker, who they're kind of party animals, and a few of the guys in Unleash the Archers, they really like to party.
Party.
But like me and Jason and Alex, like none of us really, none of us drink. So there was Jeremy and Mary, who we would give them our drink tickets on nights when we had drink tickets, and they would be
they're gonna have like 6 extra drink tickets.
yeah. And then if anybody wanted to buy us beers after our set or whatever, then we would just say, "Oh, buy beers for these guys, but sorry, we don't drink." So usually Jeremy and Mary, I'm sure that they were happy to get all the free booze, but
but
they had
gotta-
to suffer the next
They
day.
gotta
And
perform. Yeah, they gotta.
Yeah,
perform
I
the
wouldn't.
next day.
I wouldn't do that if I had anything to do the next day. Honestly,
I'll buy
Right.
you guys. I'll buy you guys snacks.
snacks are always very much appreciated.
Yeah, pretzels. So those are I thought those are nice. Self-care and touring tips for touring in large continents. That's what we can call this section. All right. So does anybody else have any more questions for you guys? Biscuit, ZF?
When's the new album coming out?
Yes.
Yeah.
We want another
Yes.
album. Yes.
The open-ended
Good
answer to the open-ended question.
No.
Well, let's see. For anybody who follows Principium, which is probably very few people, we're going to have an album out this year. Judicator, I think you could expect us to have an album out early next year. Dire.
What? Already?
Yes, already.
Okay.
You count on that.
This is the proggy album,
Okay.
right? You said you were going to go proggy again?
Oh, dude, this album is going to be so good. I'm so excited about this album. No, there are so many things I could nerd out about. For anybody who likes history, like it's just going to be so cool.
Yep.
Oh, did you pick a topic already?
Oh yeah, we've got a topic. I've got connections to the last album. I'm starting on mapping out the album's content. It's going to follow like an 8-act story structure. Like
Shit.
Damn.
lyrically,
sounds
this is going to be my
ridiculous.
favorite album that Judicator's done, hands down.
Can you tell us the topic? I feel like I've seen it before on your Facebook.
Yeah, it's going to be about the reign of Justinian and Theodora, but focusing on General Belisarius reconquering North Africa and Italy from the Vandals and the
That sounds very
Ostrogoths.
historical.
It's going to be so good, though. It's going to be so
How
good.
do you know so much history? I feel
I
like
love
all of
history.
these names sound familiar, but I didn't pay attention in school. So
I'll bet you remember the name Justinian and Theodora.
Yeah,
I'll
I
bet you
do
don't
remember
know
those names.
Belisarius.
I don't know what they do, but I guess I'll find out.
So Western Rome fell, and Eastern Rome kept going, and so Justinian was one of the early emperors of Eastern Rome who tried to reconquer Western Rome that was conquered by the Vandals and the Ostrogoths, and so he's actually the last emperor, if I remember right, who tried to reconquer the Western territories.
You guys already had the last emperor, though.
Huh.
No, the last step. Wait, what?
This is the last emperor.
The other last.
fucking with
I just got mind
Okay.
fudged.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun
Yeah.
and deep
Sorry, I
and
just went on a
intense.
nerd
yeah, we'll be on
rampage
the
there.
lookout for that and Principium, of course.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Dire Peril in like
Yeah.
2020 or whatever.
Dire Peril could be 2020, but I'm putting my money on 2021.
All right.
Helion Prime, I know we've already been kind of slowly demoing new songs. I think the new album is like maybe a quarter written or maybe a third written at this point. The music, anyway. But yeah, Jason and I have been demoing stuff slowly but surely. So I don't know when that one will be out. Time will tell.
Are you gonna put sweet leaks on your Patreon?
Ooh.
You should.
Guitar
We-
Pro MP3s.
Yeah. Put
I
the
actually
Guitar
would
Pro
nerd out like
MP3s.
crazy if like Blind Guardian or Gamma Ray did something like that. I would lose my
Right?
Yeah, I don't-
That would be super cool.
I don't know if we would be able to do anything that juicy. At least not at
Yeah.
this stage. But no, we do still have some stuff coming soon. If anyone wants early access to anything, Patreon's the place to get it.
Yes.
So
I'm already on there.
we do have some things.
Do you guys find Patreon is probably a good route for bands to go? Like some people will just monetize through Bandcamp, pay what you want. Patreon, I feel like, you see YouTubers and artists and stuff doing stuff on there.
I think for bands it's a little bit slower on the uptake versus like YouTubers and like visual artists and stuff like that. Only because I think music fans are just more wary of things like that. I don't know why.
I think it might be just because it's different. It's like I'm not used to like people
Yeah.
aren't used to paying monthly for a band to just exist. I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Protest
and,
the
like-
Hero tried that and it didn't really work out.
yeah, because Bandcamp has, I don't know if they still do, but they had their own sort of version of it, which was the subscription, which you could pay like monthly or yearly for. It was just like
To-
one base amount.
To a band or like
Um,
to band
Right.
camp.
and it was the same thing. I actually, when Protest the Hero came out with that, I actually ponied up and bought a year's subscription, and it was pretty much the same thing as what I see Patreon doing. This is actually a pretty cool subject that I'm really interested in. I'll talk about it for just a minute here.
Yeah, nerd out about it.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to know what you have to think.
So Jeremy was at my house recording bass for our latest album, and he showed me, it looked like some sort of like TED Talk type thing where it wasn't really a TED Talk, but the singer and violinist
Tim from Neobliviscaris. Yeah, that was the first time I heard about this
Tim,
like payment model for bands. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was on a stage and he's talking about it and going on about how like they set it up and they calculated out, okay, how much do we need to make each month to be able to quote unquote pay ourselves minimum wage. And so that's what they generated their money goal from. And I thought that's kind of a cool idea. And so I started looking at it more. And then there's a few other bands that have picked up on it, like Lords of the Trident.
Mm-hmm. I think Lords of the Trident is a fantastic example of a Patreon gone right.
Yeah, they do really well with theirs. And the trick is you really have to, like, as the band, you have to be on top of things and you have to make sure you're giving people value for their money.
Oh yeah.
Ty's got a fucking amazing work ethic.
Yeah,
he's
so
crazy.
Lords of the Trident does it really well. They are on top of their stuff. We're still trying to kind of figure our way out with it, and we're kind of late on some stuff still. And
yeah, like the Neobliviscaris feed on Patreon is super active. I'm actually subscribed to them too. They have like live videos. They have like, little chats and interviews with the band all the time. And they have like discount codes for merch. I don't know. That's yeah.
Right. So like we plan to be implementing a lot more stuff like that on ours as time goes on, but it's been kind of slow because it's just like
writing music.
We have so much, we have so much stuff going on, and it's kind of, we just have, whenever we have a little bit of free time, we try and kind of get stuff going, and it's always kind of me and Jason hashing it out.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is like social media-ing is hard. It's like, I don't know how these people on Instagram do it. They like post every day.
Yeah, I don't.
Multiple times
I've been
a
trying to
day.
get more into it, but it's very
it's so hard. Yeah.
But yeah, so I know I think it's a really cool idea. You have to. It's a lot of work, and I think when more music fans start, or like when more fans of bands start understanding how much work goes into it, they'll be more willing to contribute to something like that. Because, and for us especially, it makes a lot of difference. We only make like 120 or 130 bucks a month on there right now.
Oh my gosh, I would love 120 bucks a month.
And that still does not offset all of our costs.
No, absolutely
by
not.
a large amount.
God, no.
But since, like, for us, we're kind of in a weird transitional spot right now where we're signed, so we don't really see any money right now from our albums. Like, album sales pretty much exclusively go to the label because we owe the label money.
Yeah.
So there's all the day-to-day stuff, like running the website and ordering merch and stuff like that, preparing for tours.
All very expensive, as we've learned recently.
Yes. So it's just a little bit to help offset the expense. And thankfully we have, I think a lot of the people that are signed up on our Patreon have been signed up since we started it like 6 months ago or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to anybody listening to this that has been giving us money for 6 months.
Yeah. Shout outs to Patreon people.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Four Gates.
Me. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. Like it's always I always think like I just think about Neobliviscaris and how their Patreon has been ongoing for, I don't know, a few years now, and like if they didn't get that started, would they? Because it's really crazy. They're from Australia and they've toured the US so many times, and that can't be cheap.
Well, they were with Winter Sun. I don't know if that helps.
But they had headlining tours before. I've seen them like
they?
4
They headlined like
times.
twice last year. or in 2017.
And
It's so wild.
they're going strong still.
They
They
are.
just announced a new European tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So I feel like
crazy.
it really helps once it takes off. Yeah, yeah.
So where's that Judicator Patreon, John?
Boy, you'll have to talk to me in like 3 months. Who knows?
Ooh.
Will do.
Yep. Well, I think that's all we had in terms of stuff we wanted to talk to you guys about. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask one more time. You guys got any like sweet leaks you wanna
We're
give us?
You're
I
still
think we
pushing
just
it.
John?
got them.
John, I've seen some sweet leaks brewing. You wanna
Something
you
about a
wanna, like-
phone call that Tony was waiting 15 years for.
yeah.
What?
I don't know, man.
Any sweet leaks on that front?
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Who knows?
Mm,
Just
mm.
all I can say is you should pay attention to Judicator this year.
Oh, big news from Judicator this
Okay.
year, guys. I'm excited.
Something may be brewing.
Judicator opening for the Blind
Oh my
Guardian
God.
Orchestral Tour,
Come
2021.
on, dude.
Don't
Stay
tempt
tuned.
me. Don't play with my heart like
Making
that.
stuff up.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's all we do here. We just make stuff up, right? Not really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We make stuff up and we go on Facebook. that's
Powerful
what we-
Podcast is the podcast front for fake
Right?
news.
We make
Some
stuff
of
up.
which
We
is
have
We make
not-
stuff up, and then
Fake
it
news corner.
somehow it ends up true. every time.
No,
I've never been wrong.
That can't be right.
So, okay, Blind Guardian touring with an orchestra with opening act of Judicator.
Yeah, and
You heard it.
Yeah,
here
I mean,
No,
if
they
you
don't
want to put out
tour
your
the orchestra. They pick up the
speculations,
orchestra
then
from the town that they're in.
Nah,
But, you know,
they'll just
everybody's
tour the
wearing
orchestra.
They'll
like
have their whole-
Crusader armor, of course, because we need a theme.
oh,
John's getting too excited about this fictional tour.
It's a collaborative 2 albums between Judicator
Holy
and Blind
shit.
Guardian.
Okay.
I'm
The
fanning myself
campaigns
over
of-
here. I'm so
the
hot right
campaigns
now.
of Justinian
All
the
right,
Great.
I think we should
can't take it.
we should prevent John from like getting a heart attack from this fiction.
Well, that's too bad, 'cause I just remembered something I wanted
Okay,
to ask
wait,
John.
Go.
Yeah.
Is Principium's album going to be exclusively about the one true King Stannis Baratheon?
No, that was an EP only thing, and that
Ah.
was a lot of fun. And even that that EP only had 2 songs about Stannis. But no, this album that Principium's working on is going to be really, really cool. It's interesting because like I don't think anybody knows about Principium, which is okay. But
Oh, but
I
they
tell you,
will.
like the music we've been working on is it's been in the pipeline for a while. We all feel very, very strongly about it. There are 2 songs on there that I wrote when I was 19, and I tried getting Dysphoria to do it, but you know, stuff kind of petered out by the time I was able to pitch it to them. So this album is going to be really, 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 really special.
For the record, too, those 2 songs, I know exactly which ones you're talking about, and
yeah,
I'm very happy that those songs are going to see the light of day because they're very good in my opinion.
A decade in the making.
The Echoing Green and Songs of Experience.
Yes.
When I hear the final mix of those 2 songs, I will probably cry. I'm not even joking. I never thought they would get made. And we already have the drums done for them, and they are sounding so juicy, and I'm so excited.
Sounds beautiful.
And that's it.
All right. Well, we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to this year.
Oh, I think that counts as sweet leaks because Biscuit keeps asking.
We had a
for
really
stuff.
big list of shit yesterday, right?
Oh my god.
we
The list of
we recorded
2019
our
shit is so
things to look
long.
forward to in
Yeah.
2019 thing. We had a list of like 40 albums. We can add another one to it right now, Principium.
Yeah, please. Love to.
And then keep your eyes on Judicator, boys and girls, in 2019 for something that's been like 15 years in the making.
Apparently, supposedly,
Apparently,
what's
Yeah.
to come?
Definitely.
Neither confirmed nor
Most
denied.
assuredly.
our one man who can confirm or deny this is being tight-lipped about it. But
Indubitably.
but I saw it. I saw it. It was a thing.
Oh God, I really hope you guys can't hear my
Wait.
washing machine.
Nope, we cannot.
Nope.
It's so
You're
loud.
okay.
Skype's not picking it up,
Okay,
so
good.
it's fine.
Oh, Darko is gonna pick it up. He's gonna be
Alrighty
so
then.
pissed at me. But anyway, well, that was a really insightful and fun conversation. We went all over the place from modern U.S. power metal to monkey knife fighting to to Dysphoria farewell tour. Maybe we're making stuff up again, and some sweet leaks,
farewell show
on the upcoming stuff by Principium, Judicator, and Helion Prime. I think that's all we have for you guys today. Should we wrap this up for reals?
Can we get?
They got.
Can we get one more thing?
They got.
Yeah, can we get one more thing from each of you individually?
Okay.
Can you guys at the same time as at the same time as Skype will allow, lead us out and say "Stay powerful" to the listeners?
So
okay.
All right, so it'd have to be something like 1, 2, 3. Stay powerful.
Nice.
Awesome.
That was
awesome.
And we'll
Should we
clean
try
it up
that
in
again?
post.
We'll
clean it up in
we'll
post.
clean
It's
it
fine.
up on the audio Photoshop.
Should we do one
Thanks,
that's
Darko.
more? Should we do
You
one
want-
that's more enthusiastic and less
I mean,
monotone?
do you want to like sing it? Are you on your nice computer?
Stay powerful.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Clap.
I love it.
Perfect.
I'm gonna
I
cry now.
clapped.
Aw. So
That was
heartful.
powerful.
All right. Well, that's that for tonight. Thanks
All
for
right.
listening.
Good night,
guys and
morning,
gals.
whatever.
Stay powerful.
Bye.